Baker Mayfield. This
Yeah.
is like
The Battle of LA, Justin Herbert versus Baker Mayfield. But we're playoff bound. The Rams aren't. Good morning, or almost afternoon, to the Bolt fam. We are live for this Saturday edition of Nuts and Bolts, once again giving you our preview for Week 17 and just talking Chargers football for about a half an hour. Appreciate everyone for tuning in live and to the replay. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like the video. It helps out a ton. The algorithm, share this thing with more Chargers fans. I'm joined with my co-host, Tony Tucker. We're 2 seasons into this thing, and in the second year of Nuts and Bolts, the Bolts are going to the playoffs, Tony.
Yeah, we both thought it would happen and projected it last year, and it was on pace until the collapse. And a couple of weeks ago, if anybody who watches the show, 3 weeks ago or a month ago, I sat here and read off all those stats about Brandon Staley, and it was like, for no other reason than you just have to believe that he's going to figure it out and get it together. And since that point, they were 6-6. They went on a 3-game streak, and the defense is now like top 5 in everything over the last 4 to 5 week stretch of football, even in the bad game against the Raiders. Like, if you go back, like, I keep looking at everything and all the stats, and I'm like, wait, how is it that this team really is like 9-3, except against maybe the 2 best teams in football, the 49ers and the Chiefs, are 3 of the losses, in which all of those games were settled within a score, and the Chargers had leads in all 3 of those games. So what is the one constant that we have as an issue here? You can't spell Super Bowl without Joe Lombardi. Well, we can't spell Super Bowl with Joe Lombardi, people. What is happening? The offense, every week it's the same thing. It's like, well, we're stagnant, and we could try this, and we could try that, and we could try whatever. And it's like, Joe, whatever you think you should be trying, do the exact opposite of whatever you think you should be trying. Because every week you say you think you should be trying something, and it is still just as stale as the week before. So just go out the other. There's like a part of me that's like, well, what if he's just saving certain things for the postseason? That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Do you think that Andy Reid's like, well, we got to save a bunch of good stuff for the postseason? No, because he'll just think of more stuff that will build off of the stuff that he's already thought of and give different looks and variations from the things he's already exposed. That's what you do. So I'm happy. I told you I'd be short-winded, but I'm not, Mike. It's just
Yeah, and it's crazy that you say that, because I was literally talking to David this morning via text, our fill-in co-host last year and weatherman who gave us the weather report for the game that was being played in the Dome. He was telling me, what if they're saving stuff? Like, it just doesn't make sense that they don't run some of these plays on third down that we'll see come out in the fourth quarter all of a sudden. And it's like, that's pretty bold to save stuff for the postseason when you're not locked in the postseason. That's pretty bold if that's true. I would say that it's probably not true, but maybe they'll get more creative for the postseason. We could justify that maybe. I think that it's exciting that we're going to the playoffs. I'm pretty pumped. Thankful that Staley's toughness preach ended up coming true. The team now is a tough team, and that's what the make or break of this season was, for my opinion, in Brandon Staley's side, especially when we were sitting at around 500, and it could go either way. We can go down a bad path or down a good path. Is whether or not all that preach, all that talk, all of that, it's either leadership or you're just talking out your ass. And the only thing that determines the two is if the team actually pulls through and is a tough team that gets to the playoffs still despite injuries, or if the team completely tanks and goes off to the side. The offseason additions, Brandon Staley's leadership, Justin Herbert's determination has led to this Chargers playoff berth this year, and it's very exciting to see. I think, honestly, I can look at the last 2 seasons now, and you could justify that the Chargers should have made the playoffs last year as well if we don't make that mistake with the timeouts at the end of the game. That will be back-to-back seasons under Brandon Staley and 2 out of 3 seasons with Herbert. I know you can't talk about ifs, but if. You know what I mean, Tony? So it is positive. We're going in the right direction.
Oh, it's definitely headed in the right direction. And I think just like what we tend to do as fans, and especially the media, Happy New Year to Zero and Athir. So happy to see you guys in here in the
And
chat.
everyone.
And I hope that you have a great, wonderful celebration, and everybody else who's checking out the show. Welcome and Happy New Year. I think one of the problems that we do is we just sort of gloss over, like, we're like, well, this is all about Herbert's determination or Keenan or Mike or whatever. But really, like, the thing that kept this team together, and we talked about it in the preseason when we were going over this, was the actual legit depth that's on the football team, right? Like, when you draft a SEC flex lineman like Jamari Sawyer who can step in, when you bring in a 5-year, 5th-year senior, 3-year captain, Jasir Taylor, who's going to come in, when you have somebody like Alohi Gilman, who's been in the system now for a 2nd year, who is technically a very good football player, just maybe not as athletic or as fast as Derwin or as all of these other different things, right? Like, so all of these players, bringing in DeAndre Carter for big minutes, moving along Josh Palmer, Trey Pipkins' work in the offseason, clearly with Duke Merriweather or whatever, that offensive lineman genius, whoever he is, Storm Morton, your entire plan should be, I'm taking my newborn kid and my wife, and I'm going to live with Duke Merriweather if you're going to be at Chargers next year. I'm sorry. But I'm saying all of this stuff, right? And then you go out and they put an emphasis on special teams, and it's been so clutch. You bring in Ryan Ficken, and he's working with a punter who doesn't necessarily have like a huge leg, but he's just been so accurate. And then all the speed they bring in on the gun, the kicking, everything on the team has been there. And then you have somebody like Khalil Mack, who is just such a great teammate and leader. He could go talk about the frustrations of being double teamed, triple teamed, chipped every single game. He's not going to do that. He's just going to dominate his side in the run game, and he's going to put pressure on the quarterback the best that he can. He's going to do everything he can. And it's like, oh, so you don't have any griping from your stars, and everybody chipped in on this season.
Yeah.
Every single person on this roster has made plays and developed and come along. K9's coming along. Like, it's such a beautiful thing to see. And now you're getting back 97 with 2 games to go? Are you kidding me?
The defense looks very promising, and that's what I was going to say next. I'm glad you said it. Is that there is definitely a shout out deserved to the guys that have filled in spots that could have collapsed the team. You lose your left tackle in the 2nd week of the season, that can ruin your season. And yes, our offensive line has been bad this year, but they have battled and they have given Herbert a chance, and that's all he's needed in most games is a chance. So, man, those guys that have filled in, like you said, Sawyer, what a freaking draft pick. This guy can definitely play guard as well. So in the future, they're going to have a guy that could be used across the entire O-line, and they got him in the 6th round because no one believed in him because his arms are too short. And your guy, Jasir Taylor. I mean, He has been as good as you possibly could be when we've needed him on special teams and on the defense this last couple of weeks. And he's going to contribute in the playoffs. 100%. He's going to contribute in the playoffs. They've got him outside playing cornerback. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
Yeah. I think the Sawyer thing that kind of lucked out was there was a bit of there was a concern about the knee, right? And it's like in the 6th round, that's kind of what you're paying for. You're paying for that. This is a lot of words. Can you read this one?
Yeah, this is a fear taking this victory lap. Tony and Mike, I have been crying. The last 5 years as a Chargers fan, I have needed a defensive-minded head coach. Like, this is why Staley needed time. As great as Herbert is, the Bolts win a Super Bowl starts with our defense. Good call, Athir. Good call. Athir has never given up on Staley. We will say that. We're praising Staley, but again, also, playoffs are not the goal. The playoffs are just one step towards reaching the goals that the Chargers have for this team, and the future is bright.
Here's my only thing that is, I'm not worried about. Okay, that's a lie. I was totally worried about Staley as a defensive head coach. Like, that's not true. But he's shown that however this season ends, this 5-game stretch here is like, oh, he can do it, and he can do it with a lot of different people. Because you can say, well, look at the opponents they faced or whatever. That's fine. But you don't they drubbed the Colts, right? They shut down one of the most potent offenses on the preferred surface for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly where you want track athletes on the turf like that. Like, so they did all of these things. They get these wins. They fought hard against really good football teams all year long defensively when you look at it as a whole. My thing is, I still have my concerns with Staley and his desire to go for all these fourth downs. A defensive head coach should be going, oh shit, I'm taking all the points I can get. Let me go ahead and get these field goals early in the game. Let me get these field goals off of short turnovers instead of trying to push forward. Because when it comes playoff time, if he's passing up 3 points here and 3 points before the half and whatever else, and it doesn't go his way, those are the deciding factors between games. I would rather be down by 3 at the end of the game or down by 4 because he took 3 earlier in the game than be losing by 3 at the end of a game because Harrison Butker or McPherson is going to kick a chip shot field goal to win the game because he decided to pass up on an easy field goal in the first half of a football game. Like, get all the points you can and just start stacking your chips in that way. And in the second half, if you want to be a little more reckless, like, I can just off the top of my head think of times this year where we have had turnovers in their end and then gone 4 and out on the next drive. We did it against Seattle. We did it a few weeks ago.
We did it last week.
Oh yeah, you're right. We did it last week.
We did it last week.
2 weeks before that, I just blanked on the team we were playing. But it's like, I just need him to be better at those because a lot of the other decisions, Mike, have been really nice. You see him taking key timeouts, like when maybe the personnel isn't ideal, or he sees them in a look, and you see him running over and getting these crucial timeouts. The timeouts that he took at the end of the game to save time for the Titans, that was the game. We got a turnover and we went 4 and out and didn't kick it. But the timeouts he took at the end of the game, the way he managed the clock there, I thought that was really nice. So for me, it's just like, don't be aggressive when your defense is your calling card. Give your defense as many points as you can give them in the first half of the game. And if you want to be aggressive in the second half, then we can ride like that. Yeah,
and going into the playoffs, our strategy, ironic enough, going against all these quarterbacks that are going to be playing in the playoffs this year in the AFC, get these guys to throw the ball into our secondary. Our secondary is one of the best in the league, in my opinion, and they're playing at that level now, even without our CB1 in JC Jackson. So it's pretty impressive to see that the defensive switch that has been flipped, and now we need the strategy to flip as well. This is the part that analytics doesn't measure. It doesn't measure what's going on within the team. It just measures a strict percentage in this position of the game. If you go this way, it's this percent of win. If you go this way, it's this percent of win. But it doesn't measure that, okay, well, now the team's defense is starting to become more of the strength of the team right now. Okay, the offense has been struggling to get into the end zone, in the red zone. It doesn't take into account those little facts that matter when we talk about these decisions on whether you should kick the field goal or not. Last year, we went into most games thinking we need to score 40 to win. Okay, that makes sense. Now we need to score 25 to win. So let's get that 25.
Yeah, but see, like, even that's like a flawed thought, because what was the stat that I heard? I shared it with you guys. Like, he's 18-4 or something in games where, like, the defense holds them like 27 points or less, like 26 points or less.
Yeah, a high number. Yeah, a high number.
That's not a lot to ask for. Like, that's not a lot of points. But I think the problem with it this year is that the offense is not hitting that sustainable number of 25, 27 points plus per game that they were last year. So get all of the points that you can get. Like, if you realize that your offense is struggling, it's not week 4 and you're trying to work out of it. We're in week 17 and your offense is still struggling in these red zone conversions. For whatever that reason is, take the points.
Yeah, and we need to see some more creativity on the goal line also, and just score on second down. Stop freaking playing it to fourth down. Stop playing it to third and short. Let's just get in the damn end zone. Holy shit. We've left so much points on the board this year, and we've gotten unlucky for circumstance. I mean, the holding call, it was holding, but a holding call, on a big play to Parham in one, or Keenan Allen's drop over the middle in Tennessee, or Keenan Allen stepping out of bounds even though he didn't. Like, these are all points I think that were left off the board, and I will give that respect. Maybe we should have 27, maybe we should have 30 in these games, but also we've been getting down to the goal line and everything kind of just shuts down. And they're just saying, Herbert, step back and scramble, and hopefully someone gets open. And that's not a good strategy to score a bunch of points in the NFL. Zero saying bald Mike here. And we're going to get into week 17 now, guys. Start talking about this week's game for the Chargers playing the Rams. Bald Mike is not going to happen because the Chargers are going to make the playoffs, or the Super Bowl. Sorry, that was the deal. Game plan for tomorrow. Oh, we're going to talk about keys to victory here. Just give us a second to get there. Anyways, we're playing the Rams tomorrow. We're getting Joey BOSA back, it looks like. I'm excited for that. I'm going to go over the injury report real quick for everybody, so let us know your reaction. Chargers injury report. Derwin James is out with a concussion. Everyone else is good. Austin Eckler was dealing with the knee early in the week. He was limited for 2 days and then practiced on full. But they did put a note here on the Chargers injury report that the Chargers did not practice on Wednesday. They just gave him a rest day on that day. So the limited practice was only one practice for Eckler. It's not like it was a super concerning thing. And then Xander Horvath is questionable with an ankle. How much that affects us, they haven't been using him too much anymore later on in the season. Sebastian Joseph Day's full, good to go. Trey Pipkins, full practice all week, good to go. But then you go down to the Rams. Their center's already been ruled out. Brian Allen's not going to play in this game. Aaron Donald has an ankle injury. He's been out, and he's probably going to continue to be out for the rest of the season with his ankle injury. And they didn't even give the respect like they do. Like Leonard Floyd and Tyler Higbee are questionable playing this game for rest reasons. They're getting rested. They could put that next to Aaron Donald's name. They don't got to make up the ankle injury. And then Skoranek is going to be out for this game, who is probably their best available receiver left. And Wolford, who would probably be the second-string quarterback going into this behind Baker Mayfield, is also out with a neck injury. So the Rams are just dismantled, man. This team has fallen apart. But any thoughts on the injury report, Tony? Do you want to talk about Derwin James? Or I think all Chargers fans are in agreement that we enjoy the passion of that hit, but we'd rather you protect your head?
Yeah, for me, it's just about the longevity of your career, right? You're in the first year of this extension, and I would love to see you sign another extension and play. This is the thing that we don't talk enough about. We talk about how all the rules are here to change the what do you call it? They're here to lengthen the careers of the offensive players, right? Like the quarterbacks especially, but it could also be a benefit to the defensive players because the hyperbaric chambers, the healing powers and principles and the medicine and the stretching and everything else, that works just as long for defensive players who take care of their mind and their body. They can now play longer than they were before at an elite enough level. It's not like we need certain guys to be playing, the same way they were playing, because at a certain point, it's more about what you have up here than what your actual body can do, because you start knowing stuff. Ed Reed wasn't the same athletically he was. So my thing is, limit the amount of times that you get dummied. You can't be out there hurting yourself long term. So to me, you know how I am with this, Mike. I play every injury as safely as possible until you can't play that safe anymore, right? And right now they have 2 games to play with. So although I have Austin Eckler in a fantasy championship that I would desperately love to be the victor in, I'd also kind of like to see Austin Eckler not touch the ball at all in this football game. Go to Josh Kelly. Let Isaiah Spiller get 10 carries in this game and 5 receptions out of the backfield. Because what if he does need to come in a pinch, in a divisional round or something like that, where it's you got a little bit more experience out there. I don't know how he's going to do it or play. I also think that 2 weeks off might be a lot, but I don't know. I would shut Derwin down for the rest of the regular season. I would shut down. I would let BOSA play a minimum amount of just sort of get yourself back out there, pass, rush down type stuff.
Get in playing shape and stuff too. And just get some work against opponents. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage injury risk versus we need to win these games for seeding. And Staley said that they're going to play for seeding, but he said everything's on the table. And Staley is very good at the podium of not giving away anything to anyone, not even the fan base. So I think that whatever he says at the podium about the strategy, injuries, anything that's going to go into that the opponents could use an advantage, you can basically throw it out the window based off what Staley says. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage it for sure. But back to the Derwin James thing, he's got to protect himself. I know exactly what happened on those series of plays, I should say. They were going back and forth. Michael Pittman actually blindsided Derwin on the play before Derwin cracked Doolin, the receiver. And it was just straight up passion. He said, "Oh, you're going to try and crack block me? All right, you knocked me to a knee. I'm about to kill somebody." And sure enough, he goes and takes someone's head off. And it's just not smart football. Like, I appreciate the passion. I'm excited to see players play with that kind of fire, and especially Derwin James. I think we can both agree Derwin James looks like last night, even after missing a couple games, he's in midseason form. Preserve this guy's health. Let's get him in the playoffs. Let him loose there. Like, he's like an animal locked in a cage, and then once the game starts, he's just let loose. He's just going crazy all over the football field. The hit put a serious dark mark on the game for him, but he had an insane interception the drive before. Like one of the most insane interceptions I've ever seen a safety make. Just off the back foot, falling back, catching the ball like a wide receiver. This guy is a maniac.
He got there in a way that I felt like he could have made a play on the football, actually. But that was not his intention.
No.
What is that thing young people like to say? He woke up with bad intentions or chose violence or whatever. That's what his mindset was. You're going to get this, because he also had a couple plays earlier where he was like getting held and he couldn't make plays. And he was just, when you're frustrated and then on top of it, you're this most superior athlete on the field at that time. Like, make no mistake, like he could put on another 15 pounds and be the top linebacker in the league. He could probably be one of the best defensive backs, like best, like cornerbacks, like true, like shutdown corners if he worked on that part of his footwork. Like, there's almost, except for D-line, I'm not sure, and O-line, there's not many positions I don't think he could play. Quarterback and one of the line positions. He just is a different kind of athlete.
There was times, and I'm glad Kyle Van Noy came on, there was times where I was like, maybe the Chargers should think about playing Derwin at edge rusher. And he seriously would be a good edge rusher. Silver and Black Allegiance has made their weekly stop by the show. And it's typing in all caps. I don't know why he's typing in all caps. Can they stop the run? Can they beat the Bengals? We beat them last time we played them. First time with TikTok, something about that. You know, the caps lock. Turn it off, Joe. Turn the caps lock off. Anyways, let's get into the keys to victory here. And I'm glad that you brought up Josh Kelly's name, because I think that that's a key to victory for us. They would feed Josh Kelly. The Chargers need to put an emphasis on getting the run game going these last couple of weeks. We saw more carries last week. Wasn't leading to much more results, but we saw more carries last week. I think Josh Kelly, Austin Eckler, and like you said, even Isaiah Spiller, or if they want to use Larry Roundtree, I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter which running back it is. Let's get the run game going, but safely. Protect Austin Eckler, I think, through Josh Kelly. That's a big key for us to just get a lead and stay in the lead. Let's force this Rams team to throw into our secondary with their banged-up offense. But any keys that you want to highlight other than that, Tony?
My keys to victory will be the same for the final two games of the regular season, and that is to establish some rhythm from the offense. You know, particularly in the run game, but also establish some sort of rhythm and scoring in the red area, like when you get down there. And I don't even care with whoever it is. Like if they bring in Easton Stick for week 18 or they bring in Chase Daniels for sometime in this game, just show that when you get down there, Lombardi, that you're calling plays that will get you in to the painted area and we can have some freaking red zone touchdowns on a semi-consistent basis. Those are the keys to victory, because to me, the victory is not losing anybody to injury, right? It's to getting out of this with normal football bumps and bruises that you can use treatment, cold tubs, massage, whatever it is, to be back on the field going forward. Because ultimately, I don't really care where they finish 5 through 7. I don't think I look at it and it doesn't matter. They're all going to be uphill battles no matter what. If the offense does not start to establish some sort of rhythm on the opponent's side of the field. Like they just have to. And that's the key to victory is you got 8 quarters, Lombardi, to get it together.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get it together early in the game so we can get our guys out early in the game. And on the sideline watching the game, talking about what a great job they did. But yeah, like you said, we're going to have to beat the Bengals, as Silver and Black Allegiance is saying here in all caps. We're going to have to beat the Chiefs. We're going to have to beat the Bills. We might have to beat all 3. We might. Yeah. So the path to the Super Bowl through the AFC this year, it's hard, no matter which way you go. And if you're not healthy, for one, which is we are getting healthy at the absolute perfect time, and if you're not playing at your best football, it doesn't matter what you do in these last 2 games. We're going to lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. So they can't be looking at seeding and thinking, we got to see this team or that team. I'd rather play Tennessee or Jacksonville in the first round, yes, but I don't think that that's going to make or break our playoff run, whether or not we play them in the first round or whoever we play in the first round, because the next round, you're going to have to see the good teams anyways. So yeah. I'm excited. I would love to see us play against Tennessee. That's what I would love to see, but I would rather us be healthy than play Tennessee.
Yeah, see, Tennessee to me is like the difference is you have experience and you have good coaching, right? Like at least if you play Jacksonville, you have a lot of the team that's for the first time going into that win or go home experience. Now you have somebody like Trevor Lawrence who's played big time win or go home national championship games or whatever. But this is another level where like to me, experience is so great in that arena, right? That's what made the Bengals run so impressive. But this thing where Bengals look like the best team right now in the AFC, really, that's the benchmark? 22-18 against a Patriots team? Like that? I get what you're saying. The Bengals are really a really good football team. But if that's the best team in the AFC, it's winnable for the Chargers. Just get your shit together offensively, maintain the success that you've built defensively, and you can compete with any of these teams. Everybody looks vulnerable in the AFC right now. Yeah. And what will happen is when they get there, you will see experience tends to win out more often than not. What the Bengals did last year was extremely impressive.
Yeah, I was on this as well. I was thinking that the Bengals would probably be the hardest or scariest team to beat. They lost their left tackle. I know La'el Collins isn't what he was in his prime, but this guy was helping out on that offensive line, and whoever's filling in now is definitely much worse than him. And that's going to be a big deal come playoff time against teams with pass rush, like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack rushing on the same defensive line.
I thought he was playing on the right side, but
maybe that you're left. And even if he's right, it's the same thing. I mean, you just put him over on the other side. So it's a big loss for them. And that could be their downfall. You look in Buffalo, they make a lot of offensive mistakes. They have a lot of turnovers. That could be their downfall. I honestly think right now, KC might be the toughest team, but that's the team that we might match up as well against as anyone because we've built for years just to beat KC.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's interesting how it is. And like I said, I agree with you 100%. I don't think seeding matters for us at all. We just need to get into the playoffs, and we need to be healthy and win.
The scariest thing that I saw last week, Mike, was the Buffalo Bills finally decided to run the football. If the Buffalo Bills do what is smart and is run the damn ball more with the kind of weather that you might have to play in Buffalo, and you can run 3 different running backs effectively and then lean on Josh Allen, the Bills would have a competitive advantage.
Yeah, and that's going to be probably the toughest place to travel to and play. So kind of room for them not to get the 1 seed, even though we got to go there to play anyways. So I just mean for maybe other matches. Game plan. Yeah, same thing as Athir's saying the same thing as us. Lombardi's got to get his head out of his ass and unleash the quarterback. Yeah, we got to get the offense going. That's a big deal. It is. He was on the right in Dallas. I'm not sure if he's right or not.
That's what I'm remembering. He was a right tackle in Dallas. I did not know that he switched to left tackle. That's crazy.
Anyways, let's see these bold predictions in the chat, y'all. Let us know. Look at Athir's already. He's ringing the clock. It's like the witching hour when you're watching Red Zone. Yeah. The bold predictions, y'all. In the chat, let us know bold predictions for any individual player or player group or anything in between. I'm going to go with my bold prediction. I'm going to say that we have another game where 4 or more Chargers record a sack. back-to-back weeks. I think we had 6 last week. 6 different Chargers get a sack.
I think it was 6 different ones. I think there was like a total of 7 sacks.
Anytime that you get 4, that is a crazy day for your D-line when you get 4 different guys.
More than that because now I'm remembering.
Yeah, craziness. Morgan Fox is coming on. Kyle Van Noy is coming on. And now you just throw Joey Bosa in the mix when he is going to get on the field. It's just going to get crazier and crazier. And that right now is looking like the scariest part of our team for offensive lines in the playoffs to see. But we'll see. Tony, bold prediction? Anything for the offensive side of the ball?
Yes. That they convert perfectly in the red zone 5 for 5 in this
I like
game.
that. 1 for Chase Daniel at the end?
Sure. I don't even care. It could be a fake punt where, whatever. Fake field goal kick. They bootleg off the edge.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Pick it up and run.
Here's a Theorist bold prediction. Herbert's going to be sitting in the 4th. Chargers will have a big lead. And I believe in it. That's what we need to do this game. We finally score in the 3rd quarter. Break that route. Quarter.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think that we could put up some points in this game. I'm gonna go 27-10 Chargers as my score prediction. We're sitting Herbert at around 6 minutes left. We're up by 17, and we coast out of there. What's your thoughts on the score prediction? 5 touchdowns. That's 35 already, Tony.
No, I'm saying 5 conversions, so they could be field goals.
Okay.
That's the sad part about this is Lombardi. Either Lombardi fails me and they go 5 field goals, right? Or you have Staley going, you know what, we're gonna go for it instead of taking a field goal. So either way, it's a bold prediction for them to make the right choices, but also simultaneously scoring touchdowns. I haven't really picked out a score for this game because there's so much variance. I guess the score that I would like to see is probably 33-10, like just a real beatdown. I may or may not watch this with the Rams side of my family, right? We may get together. And, they're unhappy because they're like, we don't have Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford and whatever. I said, I don't care. You were talking a bunch of shit in the preseason, and now the game is here. All I hear from my 11-year-old nephew is all these excuses, but I get it. It's a pretty good excuse. Pretty good excuse.
You didn't tell him? You didn't tell him, Tony? We don't got Jalen Guyton? What's their excuse? Huh? We got a guy named Dicker who's 30 for 35 this season or something. Like, he's just making a crazy amount of field goals. Go on. And if we hit 5 field goals in this game, Dicker will be kicker of the year. I'm telling you that right now.
He's been sensational. I would like to see them in these final couple weeks. Let him test that leg out. Let him try a couple 55-yarder, 60-yard, like bombs in the game where it's like,
how much can we trust him? Yeah, in a pinch. Yeah.
I think there is a lot of room for experimenting with the offense and with something like that in special teams. And this is the last thing I'll say, because you want to keep the continuity that's been building on the defense. And it doesn't matter if you sit the starters or you play the backups, the people who would be coming in potentially in these roles, keeping that continuity that you've been having, which has been successful, and then simultaneously allowing a little trial and error with the offense and maybe certain things on special teams. Maybe there is another like fake situation that you could run out and see, like, hey, if you see this look, run for it on 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, and it is a good time to install some surprises as well. So we'll see what the Chargers have in store for us these last 2 weeks of the season. We're clinching the playoffs. Throw that sweat off to the side. Next year we'll win this division, and everything will keep going up from there, Tony. We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate everyone for tuning in this week. Happy New Year's to everyone out there. Anything else, Tony, before I hit the button?
Happy New Year.
Feliz Navidad. Boltup. We're going to win LA in the first day of 2023, and then I'm going to talk shit for an entire year. I'm telling you right now. See you guys next week on the show. He's back.